Apart from that, I'm also very happy, and it gives me an utmost pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker for today, Mr. Robin Sinha, a senior software development specialist at Deloitte. Mr. Sinha brings with himself extensive experience in various aspects of software development. He is not only a certified mule trainer, but also holds certification in AWS, Google Cloud Platform practitioner. So apart from that, additionally, Mr. Sinha possesses a deep understanding of Python and machine learning concept. So this was about Mr. Sinha, Mr. Robin Sinha. Now, there is a small thing which I would like to share with you guys. Today, actually, the session was for Mr. Divya Goel because of some medical emergency at last moment. Ms. Divya was not able to join. And for the same purpose, I would like to thank Mr. Sinha to show up for the last moment for the students, because even Mr. Sinha aligns with the mission to deliver the best knowledge for the students in their career. And we would like to thank you so much for turning up at the last moment and saving the day for us. So without a further ado, let's dive into the today's masterclass. And now I'll pass on the baton to Mr. Sinha to commence the session.
Hey Priyanka, thanks for this warm welcome and introduction. So, hey everyone. Again, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Robin Sinha. I'm currently working as a senior engineer in Deloitte. And today our goal is to discuss about API and backend integration. So, in my previous projects, in my previous experience, I have already worked on various integrations related to healthcare, related to shipment, and currently I'm working on the integrations basically related to retail chain. So for example, if you see Flipkart, Amazon, so similar like those integrations. Okay. And please inform me if my voice is like at the audible range or not. Is it fine now? Okay. Okay. Thank you. So today our topic is API and backend integration. Like we'll have a quick introduction of React Forms, APIs, Axios, and CRUD operations. So let's start. So the agenda of this session is to discuss about basic forms in React, RESTful APIs and CRUD operations, Axios requests, and front-end integration. So the first question, what is React? So when it comes to the React forms, what is it? Anyone? You can mention in the chat if you want. Okay. So basically in React, forms are used to gather input from users, like any kind of form, be it Google form, be it any form. So similarly in React forms, it is used to gather input from users. This is like as simple as it sounds. But what are extra about it, we'll get to know. So basically, it allows users to enter the data, such as it can be text, it can be numbers, it can be checkboxes, and more. It also provides like simple and like what you can say efficient way to handle forms. Like basically inbuilt components and state management is there. So let's see how to create a form in React. So there are several steps you need to follow while creating a form in React. So first you like a front end tags everyone knows. So for the first is like creating a form element in our React render method. So then we'll have to define the various fields such as import, text area, or select. Now in React forms, we also need to define the state of the form. Like basically, we usually associate that state that keeps track of the user's input. So we can use state. It's a tag. It's element. So basically, hook or like basically a class component state to manage the form data. So each form field should have a corresponding state variable that will be updated as the user interacts with the form. This was our second step. So the first step was to create elements, the header elements like form. Again, define input text area. The second is to define the use state. The third is the third definition is to handle the input changes. So for example, what React allows us to, whenever you create a React web application, it is interactive, right? Right now, if you go to any websites, whenever you do anything, it triggers, like when you, even if you not click on it, if you just go and hover your a cursor on it, it triggers some of the messages in the backend, and it sometimes also reacts. For example, if you're for example, if you're there's a website, right, like in Zomato, for example, you open that Zomato website in your laptop, you're hovering over things, and it gives you a quite suggestion that this can also go with pepperoni, right? So all those things is like on change. It's like an element which is on change. So whenever you do that React form, even if you hover on it, it will give you some additional information, or it can even trigger the state, like set of events that is on change. So to update the corresponding state variable whenever the user type or select something. Okay. So this ensures that the form data stays in sync with the user input. So for example, uh, it's majorly used in like when you give any password, right? So whenever you start typing password, whenever something is out of the like out of the value, basically, if the something is doesn't match up with the actual content, then it will say, for example, there are set of rules defined already, and you for example, exclamation mark is not allowed in your password and you're still using it. At the moment you write exclamation mark, like at the moment exclamation mark is written in the text area, and it gives you a warning that this password is not allowed. So something like that. Again, this was our third step. Now fourth step is on submit. So any HTML form you need on submit, like if you click on submit, what should action should be there? So basically it performs a necessary action that validations that all static marks, so all mandatory fields are there, which is like fulfilled. And then if it is there, then it will start sending the form data to the server. Okay. And last is the, obviously for every application, we do have to do the validation and the error handling part. So any form will have that validation component that every data is up to the mark, every data is fulfilled or not, and error handling that. So basically you make everything fail safe. So if something is not there, you'll have to handle that. That if you, even if your data is incomplete, how you can manage to pull up the trigger that it is fail safe, right? So this is how you design any of the application, right? Even if it is a form, it's still, it's an essential part of your whole application. So this was React forms. So basically are the essential part of web development. It, one second. It like it allowing user to input and submit data. They provide to ways to collect information from users and interact with the backend, because obviously backend engineer is waiting for the data which is coming from the front end. So this front end part is React forms, and React forms also enable creating dynamic and interactive user interfaces. Right now, how, like what all forms inputs are. So this is this is also one of the things which we need to see when creating a form input. So there are control components, there are uncontrolled components. So generally this is recently introduced into React. So React was recently split into normal React and React DOM, which is documented object model. So if you go on the internet and you find some documentation, and if it is slightly dated, it's not properly mentioned, then you won't even find if this is React DOM documentation or React. So for example, the state, and this state is always managed by React if it's the control component. If it is uncontrolled component, it is managed by the DOM model. Again, form input values are stored in the component state and updated through the event handlers. As I said, like on change, all those are event handlers. But again, form inputs are values are directly like from the DOM using ref. So DOM is document object model. So everything is there. You set the values and everything, and there using ref tags, you take that value. And so this, why React control components are good, because React handles it and it's a single source of truth to for form data. And when this uncontrolled components are basically what you used to do in normal HTML, right? When you used to create a website. So here it is all like it is validation is not required, but or handled by external libraries, but it is basically you who gives the data and set the values, right? And here it is the library is totally the React latest libraries which are handling the data, and again allows for validation and manipulations of the user input and can be simpler to implement for basic forms. So this can be done. Validations can be done, for example, if you do email checks. So they are already given pre-built functions. So easy things can be implemented. But now as we go, more complex and complex designs are coming, right? The websites are going beyond their limits, they're like they are designing as per as like the latest technologies. So for example, now every website wants chat GPT to include it in there. So so everyone wants that. So even if you right now, if you go to Quora, they recently included chat GPT in their platforms. So it's still in beta form, but so what they decided, if people are answering, why cannot chat GPT, right? So they integrated it, right? So OpenAI has given their endpoint. Basically, it's a paid endpoint, and then you can interact with directly using your web application. So again, those validation, OpenAI API will have some kind of mandatory data and mandatory fields where you need to do the validations as well before sending it to OpenAI. Otherwise, it will give you an error response. So all those things when doing through directly to front end, you'll have to put the validation and manipulation of very correctly, right? So then it comes why it is better to use control components. So basically, let's summarize again to get control components again. So control components, the form user are bound to the component state. The component maintains the state of the form input values and update them in the response of user's input. Okay. And again, so how to create a control component? So to create a control component, we'll need to assign a value and then prop that value to form input element. Okay. So whatever the form input element was, we'll have to set that value, right? And then the third part is we'll also have to link it to stage, like state variable, where state variable is the stage, basically on change event. So this is more technical. Again, so whenever we have to also set the value whenever a user selects something, the on change event is triggered, and then state is updated to a new value. And as a result, the component re-renders and reflecting the updated value of the input, like form input, whatever the form input you have given. And again, control components provide a single source of truth, we already said. So it makes it easy to manage, validate, and manipulate the data. So both of them has, to summarize, sum it up, both components, uncontrolled or controlled components, have their own use cases. Control components provide more control and flexibility over form data, which uncontrolled component doesn't. It's just a simpler approach for the basic scenario. So I hope this clarifies the concept of controlled and uncontrolled components in React form. And let me know if you have any further questions. So this is like, for example, this is the control component. Here it is like the input text in equals to text. We are directly giving the value, and then in the backend we are all giving the on state, and here it is the output. And here in the uncontrolled, it's like as I already told, it's like a older approach where we'll give the input, we'll give the type, and we'll give the value, right? So now let's come to API, right? So we covered the React part where the form is there. Now we'll cover the API calling. Okay. So what are APIs? So application programming interfaces. So if I say as of now, API is running the world, it won't be a wrong statement. Let me tell you why. So APIs are the mechanism that enable two software components to communicate with each other using set of definitions and protocols, right? This is the definition part. But what our actual APIs are? So let me explain you why use cases. It will be more easier to you and it will be more technical, advanced for you so that you'll have more knowledge base. So for example, I'm using Zomato. Okay. I from my application, I booked an order. Now there are two choices for Zomato. So Zomato is a food delivery partner and their goal is to deliver food on time, make customers and restaurants closer, bring them to their platform. This is their goal. Now, when customer orders something, when I order something from Zomato, I would need that whenever something is ordered for Zomato, I want to see where is my order now. So they could have sent text, right? For example, how you get it is like a traditional tracking way where you get text, this it is reached Bangalore. Now it is reached Kolkata, right? But in Zomato, it was not the case. Now they had to enable real time tracking. So they could have developed their own maps. This was their first choice to deliver their own maps in their application, but it would have taken so many time, like so many resources to do that, right? First they have to train them, first they have to like develop that kind of technology, invest in that. The second option was Google Maps. So what Google Maps is there, like already doing this, right? Real time tracking is there. Now what they will have that, okay, I'm a Zomato person, I'm a Zomato lead. I want Google Maps features, everything which Google Maps provide, I want in my application, then why not just interact with them, right? Why not just shake hands with them? So what now I'll do, I'll take that Google Maps API, I will integrate it my system. I'll call the API with all the necessary protocols which Google Maps said, and then Google Maps will return the data. And I will bring that data and showcase that data into my application. I will pay some amount to Google Maps for providing me a service, right? So this is software as a service, right? So they are providing it their Google Maps, which is there like in a different region, in a different server. I'm calling them and they are just providing me the data. I'm showcasing in my UI, and we are all happy, right? The customer experience is happy. They are good, and they can see that where is their rider is, like where is their order is actually. And Zomato is also happy because their customers are happy and they're more interacting with the platform. So this is an API example. It can be WhatsApp API. So for example, you want you're sharing your status on WhatsApp. WhatsApp is a different user base. WhatsApp is made on, for example, C++. Maybe Facebook is made of Python. They cannot directly react, but people want that if you want to post the status on WhatsApp, a icon is there. When you click on it, it directly gets posted on Facebook as well. How is that possible? How Facebook cannot have all the data from WhatsApp, right? There's a also application to application integrity, data integrity question, right? There's a security question. So how they interact, that interacting part is APIs. So everywhere in the world, everywhere you see. So for example, anything if Quora is integrating ChatGPT, it's through their API. So API is something like, for example, you have your phone, you have your laptop, you want to share the data, that cable, and the cable fits exactly in the same way. So in laptop, cable should be adjusted to the laptop port like a USB, and in mobile, it should be used as a Type-C port, right? So all these things API needs to take care. So that is why how API is an emerging market, how API developers, API integration architects are so emerging in nature, because as applications are growing, right? As more applications are growing, more, for example, Uber, Ola, again GPay. So for example, a person is buying on Flipkart, but he wants to use his phone pay. Then what he will do? He will do. So for example, I'm from Flipkart. Okay, like I want to buy something from Flipkart, but I don't want to pay cash on delivery. I don't want to use my card. I want to use phone pay, right? What they will do? They cannot share everything or you code base of phone pay to Flipkart. What they will use? They will give an API, extend an API, and then Flipkart will be connected with phone pay. You click on phone pay option on Flipkart. It will redirect you to the phone pay page. You will make the payment, then PhonePe will reconfirm it, right? Think about it like integration pattern, how it happens. So you call that API from Flipkart. Again, you come back. Basically, you go to PhonePe, you do the transaction. PhonePe says, yes, this guy is paid. It gives a 200 okay response. Basically, okay, I'm good with it. I have the money to Flipkart. Flipkart does, okay, your order has been confirmed. It will be delivered shortly, right? And Flipkart has that trust token from PhonePe that money has been delivered. Like money has been like sent to the client or the customer to their Flipkart's account, right? So this is how APIs are getting more and more important in our world, current world. So again, how APIs work. So how these work? First is the request part. So the partner, Zomato, makes a request to Google Maps, or the Flipkart makes request to PhonePe. This is the first. Basically, the client application makes a request. It's generally HTTP request, right? Just API calls. Now, API generates a response containing the request data or performs the requested action. So, for example, when my API, so for example, I am a REST API. So I am integrating with Flipkart. It has some user code base. Let's call it Oracle. Oracle has their own ways of sending. It sends post transactions, post logs. There are so many JSONs, post logs. There are so many other types of data which can be sent. So they send us post transactions, right? Now I have PhonePe. PhonePe only wants a JSON data. And so, for example, Flipkart was sending XML data. Post transactions was in XML. Now, as a PhonePe, I only need JSON data. I cannot accept XML. So here comes the middleware. Middleware is the who is managing that API. For example, it can be Dell Boomi. It can be MuleSoft, right? So what MuleSoft will do, MuleSoft will take that data. So for example, as from Flipkart, I'll take that data, I'll transform it. So I will transform the post log into a requested format of PhonePe. I'll take the data, I'll map this. So for example, their date is here status date. Their money is here amount. Their total discount is their total gap. So this is what their naming convention can be different. Their formats can be different. I take that data, I transform into the required format, and then I'll send to the PhonePe. And then PhonePe receives that data. Again, it responds in a JSON format again, because it's expecting it in a JSON format. It is also responding in a JSON format. So the client processes the API response to extract the data and trigger further action. So what this response part is, again, I'll take that response. I'll check how this Oracle is wanting that response as a middleware. I'll check it once again post log responses. Then I'll connect, again, add the header tag, add the data in the format they want, and again, add the response part. Okay, this transaction has been completed successfully. This is the reference number. This is the UTR, like unit transaction reference number. And this I sent in Flipkart. Flipkart said that, okay, I have accepted everything. This is good. This sounds good. I save that in Flipkart's database, that what is UTR for any further reactions or further actions. And again, I'll set that your order has been confirmed. So this is how API works. So again, RESTful APIs. So earlier we were like, when we were using web services, we were using SOAP API. So SOAP APIs were basically XMLs. It was basically, SOAP APIs were very rigid in nature, right? They wanted a certain format, that I will only accept this format. Definition schemas, XSGs was very necessary in SOAP APIs. So to fill the gap, to make it faster, we want loosely coupled. We don't want hardly coupled things. We want everything to be attached to everything. So basically, you will, let me give you an example. You will obviously want a phone which is loosely coupled, basically, in the sense that it can be connected to through adapter, it can be connected through pen drive, it can be connected, so 3.mm jack. If it is there, you'll be happy. The phones which are less hardly coupled, that nothing can be connected, even if you can use charger, or you don't have any ways, so you don't have any Bluetooth, you don't have any hotspot, There's no Wi-Fi. So it is very hardly coupled. It is very like it is, though it is very secure, but it is very hardly coupled. You cannot touch any. So for example, your company laptop, you cannot put pen drives, you cannot use earphones in it, like only things which are allowed with them. So it is very hardly coupled. Due to the security reason. But in your personal laptops, you won't want that. You won't buy something which is very rigid in nature, right? Wants the same format, wants everything. So that's why we converted into RESTful APIs. Now what is RESTful APIs? It is representational state transfer. Like basically it works from state to state. So it is like basically it changes state by the time. And here it is architecture is time for designing network applications. So again, networks will have different like requirements, right? So that's why it's continuously changing its state. And again it follows the principle of REST and provide the stateless, capable, and uniform approach to API development. Why they are saying stateless? Because doesn't have any solid state. It can be here, it can be JSON. In the next step, it can be XML as well, right? So this is what, and the format also changes. The definition also changes per loop. So it can be experience APIs, again process APIs, again system APIs. So this is API-led approach where we are converting one integration into 3 APIs: experience, process, and system. Again, process API. So for example, let me give you example. So as of now, right? What we are now like as a retail, what we are making as of now is, so you go to Pantaloons. Pantaloons is a leading store. So though Pantaloons is not my client, let me take for example, Adidas, Pantaloons, any of the uh, uh, store which is have in-store purchases, right? So how this RESTful APIs works, right? So when you go to your customer, like basically your billing center, billing, there is a billing desk. You go there that I want to purchase this. I want to purchase this shirt. Okay. What he will do, he will have a computer like structure, right? POS, like point of sale. And there he will make that add to cart. Then that value will be added. And there that value will be sitting in some Oracle database. That what are the discounts, right? For example, in India, it is very less features, but in US, we also say that, okay, I want to go for a movie. I don't want this item as of now. Deliver it to my home. So you say, okay, sir. So now what they will say, they won't. It's not necessary because maybe there is also a feature. For example, I'm in a different state. For example, I'm belong from Kolkata. I'm going through a mall in Delhi. I tried that in a mall. I like it looked fine on me. I really like that piece of cloth. But as of Delhi, I'm just on a business travel. I don't want to buy that actually. As of that, I want it in my home in Kolkata so that I will wear in some parties or something later. So I'll go to that store. I say just make it a delivery to my home at Kolkata. So how as an structure, right? To make it efficient structure, what they will make customer order for delivery, like order for delivery. Then they will make in their POS request that I want an order for delivery to their DC or distribution center. Then they will decide what is the closest store to Kolkata. And from Kolkata, if it is available, or then if not Kolkata, then what is the next closest store? From there, they will ship. They will make. So how this integration pattern is saving money, making efficient structure, and how you are getting 2 days delivery instead of shipping something from Delhi. Obviously, it will take more time than shipping something from Kolkata. It will just a delivery guy will go to the store, it will pick up that item, and then they will like deliver that item to your store. So this is how we are making lives easy. This is our goal. So again, what are the common use cases of this bit? So data retrieval, fetching information from database. So for example, even when that so how integration is complicated and how it is exciting at the same time, I'll tell you. So when they are making that customer order for delivery, they are saying they are scanning something. You see that they scan a barcode. That's a UPC, Universal Product Code. They scan that Universal Product Code. It is directly fed into their system. They make the request. That request is also handled by REST API because that data is sitting in somewhere backend DB, right? So that is data retrieval. They will make a get call. Get call is like they will have that URL, and there they can have that They won't have any body. They just have their parameters. So query parameters, URI parameters. So example that even Google, if you search google.com, you search something on it. If you closely look in the URL, you will have that question marks in the URL. So if there's a question mark, right, those are query parameters. So for example, if there are no question marks, there are hyphens at the last and the values. So for example, Elewayte has shared a link in the chat, right? So when you see that it doesn't have a URI parameter, but if my company slash and there's a different number every time. So for example, if you all are somehow have a registration ID, everyone has a different registration ID. It will fed as a URI parameter, they will click on it and they will have their own. So you will have their own portal. Basically, for per user, the portal will change according to. So, for example, for me it will say hi Robin. For you it will say hi others. So that is role of URI parameter. So again, data retrieval is done through get calls. You can also do a data retrieval from post calls. We will explain it this part as well. Now data submission. So for example, data submission is the part where I want that, okay, this customer order for delivery is to be scheduled. I sent all the data, like basically I sent all the data in the post and body that this is the name, this is the SKU, and this is the size, this is the color, this is the print, and then send. Everything is in number, obviously, and then send, and then that request has been submitted. Again, integration with third-party services. This time we already covered payment gateways or social media platforms. So, for example, from Instagram, I want to post on Facebook. From PhonePe, like the GPay integration plus banking integration. For example, if you have been to banking services, how can you see, like, GPay has your balance. You request, you give your UPI pin, and your balance is given in the GPay as well. The GPay as well, right? So they cannot give every banking data to GPay, right? That's just a API call. So when you're retrieving the balance, when you're doing it, when you give that number, that UPI pin, then it says that your GPay is making a request to your bank, then your bank API is retrieving that information that this is your balance. So as well, so for example, I'll say you how this works. So for example, you make a purchase from PhonePe, you go back, you check the balance in GPay after some time. If it is updated in your bank portal, like banking application, that your balance has been deducted to, for example, earlier it was 10 rupees, now it's 5 rupees. When you go to GPay and you make that request, it should check balance. Though you made that transaction to PhonePe, you will see that balance has been updated to 5 rupees. So this is all. So this PhonePe, any third-party application actually doesn't have your banking information or banking data with them. It's just that when you save that, when you add your card, when you add your details in their application, it just gives them a permit token from bank that this person that you give your basically you give your authenticity or you authenticate them that yeah, you can use my banking details, you can use my banking details for payments. So again, the bank has their own structure, the GPay has their own structure. They're just communicating on the basis of your trust and your acceptance that yeah, you are allowing them to do that, that you have your consent. They're like they have your consent basically. Okay. So now we'll go to HTTP request method. So for example, what is request method? So hypertext transfer protocol, you have been learning from basic classes from 6, 7, 8. So basically it's enabled to communicate, basically how client and servers communicate. This is the way to communicate. So now it is HTTP. Earlier it was HTTP, now it is HTTPS. S is nothing, which is a secure. So now we have enabled handshaking. Handshaking is like that if you send me a data, how I will know that, okay, you are an authentic person. For example, in web browser, when you search any site, how we will know that that site is not like I'm authenticating that site that they can use, like you accept cookies, right? So cookies are nothing that you accept that they can read and write some extent of their data in your personal computer. So you have option to delete cookies as well, right? So next time when they come, they will know that, okay, I know this PC, I know this computer, I know this person, I save some data, and it is saved in your website only because they cannot have everything in their DB as well. So it is saved in your computer only. So when they come, when you search again, for example, when you search like abc.com. It takes some of the data, it saves in your computer only. It's like accept cookies, accept optional cookies. Say that this is the person who wanted to buy something. This is the person. So they will know your nature. So when next time when you open it, they will search that cookie. That is there any cookie? If it is, then it means that you are a past customer. Like you have been already there. They will note some of the things. What was, where did you click? What were the things you were searching for? So that this time they will give you more customer experience. So again, a client browser sends an HTTP request to a server, then server returns response to the client. Response contains the state information of the request and may also contain the requested content components. So let me have that get call is like basically a get call. So I'm a college management. I'm a professor. Some student comes, so please increase my marks, right? I have IMS portal like this, for example, where like a management portal. I'll see that what is your ID? They will say that, okay, it's 1 2 3 7 8 9 10. I type that and make enter. I click enter as a professor. What in the backend, what happens? That portal, that website is fetching the data from the backend. It is making an HTTP call. It can make an HTTPS call, and then it that ID is taken, and now I'll go to the response DB, and DB is like, okay, with this ID, I'll have that data in my front of them, front of me, and I'll say, okay, what are the subjects all the subjects. Or for example, if I'm searching from my portal, it can be calibrated that I have a list of students saved in my DB, related to my DB as a foreign key. Then only data with my students. So for example, if someone is not my student, still I give the ID, it will say no data found. Though he is a student of a college, but he's not student of as under me. So if I give a student ID of under me, then the data is fetched. I see that, okay, you got this marks. Okay, let me increase it. I make that update, again enter. Again, this time it's not a get call, it's a post call. It will have all the necessary data, like what are the marks, updated marks. It should be updated. It goes to the DB. It says that, okay, I see that authenticity token. I see that it is connected in a secure connection. I see the user ID password. It's encrypted, but it's still there. Okay, everything fits. I update the data in the server. Otherwise, for example, otherwise it would be very easy just to bypass, and then just you can't even go to, like, you should not even like, if that would be possible, you won't have to even go to your professor and just change your data in server directly. So post calls you can directly make to servers, but will it accept it? No. So basically what I was trying to imply is you can replicate that post call which your professor is making in your system and send to that server if you have that server address. But will that server address will accept it? No, because it needs an authentication. So there will be authentication token, which generally replaced in 15 minutes. So even if you have it in 15 minutes, it will be resetted to a new value. So that is how security works. So this is post. Now you can also use put. Now put is something where you need to update it. So you can also use, as I said, the value and updated value in the post. But this can also be done in put. And this can also be done in patch. So put completely replaces the data. So when I can use post, put, and patch for same thing. So post will again post it. Put, what will it will completely replace the data, and patch will add the data. So it's like something like that. It is missing. I want to patch the value. So I'll send as a patch request. It will add up there. Right? And delete is something like, it's like just a DB call whenever you do a SQL request. When you say delete where, so something same thing is HTTP delete, where you want to delete the data, you use delete protocol. But everything can be done in post. So even get, put, delete, patch can be done under a post command, because post will have a body, and your response structure, basically your target system should know what values it can have. So for example, updated data, you send data, updated data, columns, where to delete, where to update, where to in the post, and you send it. It's just that the target system should have that capability to understand the data and do the task you are requested in your post request. So this is how HTTP request works. So again, this is like get is for retrieving the data. and sending the data to server, fetching the so this is basically where UI lookups work. So this get commands is basically for UI lookups. For example, if you do something, as I said, that example of professor, that is a UI lookup. You make enter, that is a get command. So fetching a user's profile, retrieving list of products, getting weather data. For example, I say what product you are stocking. I'll get that for example, UPC. I want everything UPC, and it will give me all the products which is sold. For example, this is where you do a Flipkart and you go click on shoes. You click on shoes, you enter, you get all the shoes listed in Flipkart, right? It can be 4,000 request, 4,000 material, 4,000 shoes, 5,000. That is a get command. Again, when you add to cart, add to cart, it's a post call. Again, when you add to cart, you add a coupon, it's again a post call. This API is taking that data. So for example, for coupon is coming from loyalty management coupon. Okay. Salesforce. So there it says that, okay, so you wrote something like, I want $50 off, right? And you enter. Again, that is a post command. So again, that will take it to a loyalty management like SFLM, which is Salesforce Loyalty Management. It will check, does this voucher exist? It says no, it doesn't exist. It will give you a 500 response that this is not there, or it will give you a 200 response with a response that this coupon does not exist. And in your UI, you will get that this coupon is not valid, or this coupon has been expired. If it is date validation. If there's again a specialized coupon for you, for example, I want 50 off, and it exists for you. Again, that validation has to be done, right? That it will go to Salesforce, it will check if that coupon exists and if that coupon is valid for that user, right? And then it matches every value and it says, okay, everything looks good. It will send back the response that 200, okay, that this coupon is good. You can deduct the value. It will send the value to be deducted, and then the UI will say that, okay, 50 minus 50 or minus $50, right? So, and this should be done. Everything should be done under SLA. This is like, for example, this should happen under 3 seconds. This is also an agreement. That's where it gets excited, right? When you're designing a system, that if everything happens, everything validation checks, everything should happen under 3 seconds. User should not wait more than 3 seconds, because it will take more than 3 seconds. The user experience will get back. So it can be 1 second, it can be 3 seconds. So for example, if you search shoes in Flipkart application, when you click enter, search, like basically search button, you should not wait 40 seconds to see the shoes. It's just 3 second SLA. Sometimes it is 5 seconds, sometimes even it is 1 second. Depends upon the user customer experience, that how fast I want to retrieve the data. Again, for the post request, when you submit that add to cart, it should not take more than 3 seconds, 5 seconds. If it is taking like 10 seconds, maybe sometime it is your internet where it's very slow. But if it is reaching your internet is good, server should not take more than 5 seconds or 3 seconds to change it, because you will, even if every time you are clicking that, okay, submit. So it should not be something like that you are waiting for it, right? For 10 minutes or 10 seconds, even for 2 minutes or 1 minute is a very larger time, right? So you have to define your system so efficiently so that it can reply you in 3 seconds or 5 seconds. So get requests are typically safe. They should not modify server. So it is just like, I want that data. And what data? Which responds to this code or this URL. Again, parameters should be included as a query parameter or URI parameter. And response data is written in the body. So response is basically, when you go, I want this data, it will give you a body. As response is a body. Again, for the post, it can update server data. It can update server data. It can create server data, like submitting a form, adding a comment, making buy now, click buy now, and completing an order. So it can modify server data. Data is sent in a body of aesthetic format, typically JSON. It can be sent as XML. It can be sent as string. It can be sent as a CSV as well. Response may contain newly created resource, like for example, confirmation message that your order has been submitted successfully. So this was how most HTTP methods works. So let's go to the next part, Axios, right? So let me let me know what do you understand by Axios making request? Anyone in the chat? Feel free to provide some information to everyone that you have that bandwidth. Just sharing knowledge is our basically our motto here, right? So that everyone should be uh, at the same level. Everyone should know about things. Everyone should know, even if you are a student, you should know industry practices so that it will help you during your placement, during your company interviews, so that you have that mindset that how system actually is working in the backend. You are using Flipkart, but if you are in tech, you should know how that Flipkart is working. Same for Facebook, same for Instagram. I see a message, direct message. You can do everyone's message. This is just a JS library. Okay. So yeah, it's true that it's very okay. Okay. So yeah, it's true that it's a very famous library, like a JS library. But let me tell you in a better way. Yeah, it is library of JS. Yeah. Thanks, Ashim. Thanks, Durde, for your comments. So Axios is like a messenger that helps your web application to talk to servers. Treat it Axios like that. Like basically it allows us to send requests to get data from the server or send data to the server. Similarly, so when you said HTTP request, now Axios will help you to do that, right? So for example, it's like something like sending letter to someone and waiting for a response. For example, like I'm a person and I sent that letter, right, to a different person and waiting for that response. That is a task of Axios library, right? It helps us to attain that feature. So how to use it? It's very easy. We need to install, you know, like install using npm. So first we need to like import. First we need to install npm install Axios. Then we can write import Axios from Axios, and then you get all the features of Axios in your system, right? So what are the things we can do from Axios is like basically get requests, sending data to other HTTP methods, custom headers, query parameters we have in Axios. So we can have that handling the response in Axios, customize request we can send in Axios. So all these things we can do using Axios. So yes, as you said, Axios is a popular JavaScript library used for making HTTP requests from the browser. It provides simple, intuitive API for handling AJAX requests in React or other Java script frameworks. So anyone, what is AJAX? Okay. So let me give you again an example to explain AJAX. So imagine you're reading a book and suddenly you have a question that requires looking up information in another way. Okay. So AJAX is treated as like a magic bookmark that allows you to finally, so for example, I'm reading in a book and that, yeah. So I see that AJAX provides us to change in live means live change in any site. Okay. So AJAX also help us to retrieve information quickly. So for example, I'll tell you what, so I'm reading a book, a French book. I know some French, but not all words. So I'm reading it, I'm trying to read, or even English, and I see a word, philanthropist. Okay. Maybe I don't know that meaning of that word. I'll Ajax will let me quickly go to dictionary, see what is that philanthropist, what is the meaning. It will tell me the meaning, bring there, right? So that is, yeah, that is asynchronous also. I'm also reading, right? I'm also reading at the same time, but I also want the explanation of a word. So it is like a magic bookmark that allows you to quickly find, retrieve the information that you need without interrupting your reading. So I should not stop my reading. So for example, so the traditional method is that I have two books. I see any word. I open second book. I search for that word. I come back. I check that, okay, this is the word. Now I'll read it again. Now I know the sentence, the meaning of the sentence. But what Ajax does, it's asynchronous. So as soon as I'm reading a book, I got a word in difficult, it should retrieve the value there only and I should continuously read. I should not stop somewhere. So that is how asynchronous process works, you know. So in web development, Ajax is a technique that allows us to fetch data from a server and update parts of a web page without needing to reload the entire page. So for example, I'm doing something like anything in the page. It should not be us like make us to reload the page every time to change the data of the pages, right? It makes a smoother and interactive user experience, right? So this is how Ajax works. Let me go. Now, what is the advantages of using Axios library? So it supports all kind of modern browsers. So there are so many browsers, right? As of now. So suppose all kind of modern browsers provide consistent behavior for all HTTP requests. It offers features like interceptor, automatic JSON parsing, and error handling. Axios simplifies the process of making asynchronous requests and handling responses. Now we'll learn about CRUD. So I think in colleges, most of us have read about CRUD. So basically CRUD, how the world works to create, read, update, and delete. This is the basically how the world works, right? So for example, it can create data, it can create routes, it can create controllers, views, like content operations, validating user input, displaying message, read, update the current value, and delete. So this is CRUD. So, so why Axios? So Axios provides a convenient way to make HTTP requests and interact with the backend API to perform CRUD operations. Each CRUD operations corresponding to a specific HTTP method, post, create, like API endpoint. So what is Axios? So let me explain you an example. I think I take more examples because it is more easy to understand, more easy to grasp the knowledge. Okay. So, so treat Axios as something, for example, I'm a boss. I have a, yes, you do. So, for example, I am a boss, right? Now what I'll say that I have an assistant, right? Like a personal assistant. I'll tell her to get me a coffee. So that personal assistant is Axios, right? Okay, my voice is breaking. Is it fine now? Okay. So treat it like I'm a boss. I'm saying like asking my PA to bring me a coffee, but that PA won't go up actually, right? To bring that coffee. So that Axios is a PA, but again, Axios will go and tell that okay, boss wants a coffee. Then an office person or office management, it can be anything. People at different places are called differently. So again, is it breaking again? Okay. Okay. So So people, the office PA won't go to actually bring the coffee, but APIs will do that. So API is the person who actually goes. So it can be Pune, somewhere it is office help, somewhere it is Pune. It's just the way we call it. Some ways like office bhaiya. So what he does, he actually goes and sometimes he go to the kitchen to bring the coffee and sometimes he makes them himself. So if he's going to kitchen, he's again an API calling another API where the kitchen person who's actually cook makes the coffee and then brings back the coffee and then brings back to the PA. PA gives it to the actual boss. So that is how Axios and Ajax is working, right? So these are the libraries helping our website. So real world example is e-commerce product management, social media post management, task management, all these CRUD operations, right? Post, when you do a post, you go to Twitter, you write, okay, uh, for example, you post something that I have attended this webinar. It was very good. You post something, you enter it. It gives your post response. It gives your CRUD operation. Create using post. It goes to the server of Twitter. It posted it. It validates that everything is fine. Everything your user authenticator. You are a actual user of Twitter, right? So everything is authenticated, then it submits the response, and now it is publicly available for everyone. So now front-end integration, let's explore this part. So front-end development, also known as web integration or client-side development, in the process of is the process of using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, others languages to build efficient and usable website, web application, mobile apps. So in short, what is front-end and what is backend? So backend is the spinal cord, front-end is the eyes. So it is told that whatever you see is not real. Basically, everything is inverted, right? Our eye process, whatever what our eye see is everything inverted. It sees everything inverted. So just imagine whatever you're seeing right now, just rotate it 180 upwards. Now that is what your eye is actually saying it. What now? But do we actually seeing it? No. Why? Because our mind is processing it. So that is what it is doing. So this front end is the UI, your application, your Instagram, you scroll, right? When you do the like, right? So it's one like from your side, but it is reflected to every person on Instagram. How? That is how front end is integrated with backend. So now front end is making calls that, okay, this person has liked. Now it has to update the data of all Instagram. Not only it should update India, but it should that if your post is even liked by a US person, it should be updated whole world that this post has been liked by this person, right? That is how integration works. So let's have best practices of integration. So modular approach is break down the front-end application to usable modules, standardize the communication. So basically it should not have that every module should have a different way of communicating. It should have a best practices and best standard ways so that each module have the same way so that even the backend is made in the same way. So that the accepting response and request acceptance is uniform throughout the application. Again, version controlling is very much important. So first you make that beta version. So for example, version controlling, why it is important? Because somewhere it can be it's still in beta, somewhere it is launched. Again, you have to make everything stabilized and in uniform way. Now error handling, why I say error handling is very important. Any application, I'll tell you, if you are working as an integrator, right? For example, I'm a certified integration architect, right? So when I will design any application, I will think twice and I will think 4 times to check if it's a fail safe. You know, your first approach should be, so there are two mindsets, right? So people first, I saw people in the industry first only checking about what can go wrong, right? What can go wrong. So they were not even implementing. So some of my fellow developers not even implementing the solution, but they were thinking first that what can go wrong. Then it is also not ideal, right? Then like I advise them first check what should be the behavior, what is the right path. So we first select, so the best practice is to select the best path or the correct path. So for example, I'm making a request, I'm getting a response 200. Okay, that is the nice path. We say that it's like a good path. It is defined. Now I'll start what can go wrong. Not first. First I'll check that what the best path or which is the best path. It will give that we say like okay path, like happy path, that everything is good. We make a request, we get a response. When happy path is defined in your application, then we'll start looking into the what can go wrong, you know. So then we handle, so okay, token is not there, token expired in 15 minutes. What I'll make the request token again. That is covered in error handling to make our application fails up so that the actual user should not be in the default. So for example, I make that like, okay, so if somehow that my token got expired, what Instagram will do, it will regenerate the token and try once again. It will regenerate that token at least twice. If that token is there, it will tell, okay, we are good. Thank God we saved. Otherwise, at the last point where it will say that, okay, your like cannot be posted. For example, let's not make it like, make it more relevant, which is message. Some ways it says right in Instagram, fail to send, right? But before sending it to saying to you as a customer, fail to send, it tries 3 or 4 times in the backend, generating more tokens, again and again, again and again. But again, it fails. Then at last, it is last to inform the customer that, okay, um, sorry, we failed to send your message. It can be your internet issues. It can be anything. But again, this is, they wanted to keep more minimalized. It is like, that is error handling is important. The robust mechanism to handle exception gracefully, so that the actual user interface is not, the actual user experience is not uh, hampered, right? Again, documentation is the fifth part, because see, I'm an integration architect. As of now, I'm working on retail chain. I make that application. Everything is done. It is deployed in production. Everything goes live. I cannot be working on it for for my lifetime, right? I have to move to other projects. I will again take new challenges. So healthcare, shipment, retail, there are so many challenges, right? So I'll moving into that project. Now someone new comes as a support management, because the maintenance always goes on, right? So even if their client is saying that we'll look into it again, or ourselves, then that documentation is, we always refrain, to do a good documentation. But a good documentation is also very important, because if the documentation is on there, so for example, even for React, even for API, they made it, right? It's good. We are giving you sessions as of now. You are getting a KT session, like a knowledge transfer session. It's good. But if you go again, if you don't have any documentation, right? How you would understand, how you will remember? You cannot remember, we cannot have knowledge transfer from mouth to mouth. There should be something in the document form, right? Where you can come again and have a look and check that values. So again, that is why documentation is very important. Even if you make your application, you should explain everything in the documentation as well, so that the next person comes, they can read that documentation and they can start the work from there. So again, it's the example of front-end to-do list, weather app, calculator, email slides, everything is like a front-end application. Now coming to the career opportunities. As I said, this integration APIs is a very big market, and it's an emerging market. As we say that AI is also emerging market, the next emerging market will be integrations with AI. That API is deciding. For now, we decide everything, protocols, everything. The next big boom will be APIs deciding their ways on, right? So yeah, these recordings should be, I think, will be available. So you can go through the PPTs as well. So this uh, basically, this API is having ML, so machine learning capabilities, right? AI capabilities to decide their own factors that, okay, I'm going to, right now it's all hard coded for now, right? Response, the request, then it can update the responses again according to them, according to the requirement. It can interact, right? It can take fraud detection by its own. So these are all the next boom, which APIs will do. And who will design that? The developers, API developers, integration architects, right? So these are the career opportunity from where like we have learned in this session. So API developer, integration architect. The average package of API developer starts from 6, even for freshers. For MuleSoft developer, if you go as a fresher, a good company with MuleSoft developer will offer minimum 6 LPA. Then integration architects, if you are integration architect, your package can go till 30, 40. Associate integration architect gets around 25. So this is all integration architect salary. Again, backend and technical consultants are also like a 1 million salary, around like 10 lakhs, 12 lakhs. Again, backend engineer also have a very good amount of salary, because these are all tech stack. So what makes you different from a fresher point of view? So if you're a fresher, you have done your college projects, right? But if you're skilled as a backend engineer, if you have that knowledge base of a backend engineer, how that actually the technology works in the backend, that actually matters. So I would recommend that if you have those knowledge, you should also get certified. Because why I'm certified? Because it gives the authenticity also, right? I'm saying I'm certified. It that certification authority, right, is also very important. So I think even for example, Elewayte provides certification, various certifications. So what different it makes, that if you are something, a person that you are, for example, I'm a fresher, I know backend, but again, it lacks the certification part, right? So when you are saying that, okay, I'm backend engineer, I'm like a backend, I know backend, but I'm also certified, right? So it gives you a leverage, I would say. And while doing the certification, you actually learn as well, right? So you will learn that thing. So for example, if you're doing MuleSoft, you cannot get certified unless you are actually learning MuleSoft, right? There will be questions, there will be something. So they will also teach you, right? That during that certification. So those things are actually important. So how to boost your career prospect? So certification, showcasing your expertise, making projects, obviously get involved with it in it. So when you start doing the projects, you'll have 10 problems. Then you'll solve 9 of them. You'll find that one problem is unsolvable. Then you will again reiterate, rechange, redesign. And then again, you will find that one problem is also solvable, but in a different way. So this is why it's like project is important, it will validate skills, enhance credibility, stand out from the competition. Everyone is looking for a job. Everyone is wants to read everything on the internet, but that is not always important, right? You should be targeting yourself. It should be targeted goals, right? Should not be that every data is important. So machine learning is important. You should go and learn machine learning. It's not like that you want machine learning, you also want uh, like other things like website development. So you should be jack of all, I would say, and master of none. This should be there. You should know about things, but that is not necessarily that you should be master of all trades. That is actually wrong in tech industry. You should be jack of all, that you know everything, you know about things, but you should be master in one or two at least. So by certification you can master them. Relevant projects. So should have projects in web development. You should have projects in AI. But if you're going as a data engineer, then you should have more projects in data learning, right? Like machine learning project. Use Android plus machine learning so that it will give you a leverage, right? That is why it is saying relevant projects, right? There are so many projects in the world, like thousands, lakhs of projects. But it won't give you if you're going for Android development. Even if you have done some projects in machine learning, again, they will ask the project like questions in Android, right? So you should be having relevant projects as well. So additional preparation steps, like you should be, as I said, system designing part, which I explained how Flipkart, PhonePe works, that part is also important. How to design a system, because when you will be in the tech industry, you will be asked to do so, right? So how to stand out, how to get promoted more frequently than others, how you can learn like how you can learn things which can be learned, like which people take 8 years, you could do in 3 or 4 years. Experience do matter, but not always. Obviously, experience do matter. So 8 years of thing you can adjust into 4 years, I would say. But it's not possible that he's a person who is 8 years of experience and you can do it in 1 year. So it's just like that they are preparing IIT, IM, and IAS, UPSC at one time only. Just like that. It can be done. I've not said it's impossible. So 12 years or 8 years can be done in 1 year, but it's the workload, the way work-life balance would be disrupted, and it is not possible. That's why people say that 90.9% is also impossible, something like that. So it's just like that. So 1% is a chance that you can achieve it, but is it worth it to give everything away? So just to make in short that, yeah, I would recommend to contribute 8 years of things to 4 or 3 years so that it can also be done and manageable. So what you are doing, additional preparation step, take the guidance, from industry experts, take the certification, be more confident, get more knowledge, get more relevant knowledge, boost your profile, and all those things. So let's conclude this session. I think we are actually out of time. So in summary, we covered React forms today. What are the basically what are the steps to create them? Okay, we covered APIs, we covered RESTful APIs, HTTP methods, we covered controlled and uncontrolled components. We covered Axios, what are the role of Axios? We covered Anthrax also. CRUD operations, what are the CRUD operations? I mostly covered through examples so that you have that understanding. Afterwards also, that I would have taken it more technical jargons, then it would have just become a readable content, right? So that's why I took examples so that ASAC all those examples would be stuck in your mind, at least for a long time of period, right? So again, we covered operations with API, how API interacts, front-end, back-end integration, how it happens. Again, the knowledge will enable, this knowledge will actually enable you to dynamic web application with seamless data integration, interactions, and user experience. So again, that's why I said SLA, which is service level agreements, contracts, that it should be 3 seconds. That there's all things, right? Retry mechanism, error handling, exception handling, all those things is for user experience only, right? So any questions?
Guys, if you have any questions, please drop it in the chat box. Mr. Robin will be more than happy to help. So, Jeet, these master classes are conducted only on Sunday, that is 4 p.m. So, we will be meeting on next Sunday with a new topic. So, as of now, if you have any concern or any questions related to API integration or backend, anything, please, drop your queries on the chat box so that we can take this up.
So I see a personal message. What is ASAX and what is Axios? So Axios is a JS library which enables you to send HTTP requests, and ASAX is again helps that in asynchronous way, right? So basically, in that example, I told that a boss is there. So front end is, for example, UI is your boss. So that ASAX and Axio is something like libraries which is acting as a personal assistant, right? To do that API calls. Again, that API call is that, again, that gave the example that office wala bhaiya, that office bhaiya, that office personal assistant won't directly go to grab a coffee for the boss, but will call another person. That is again API. So that office assistant is acting as a library. So again, that is ASAX and Azure. Those are libraries, and ASAX again is a asynchronous call where like it allows your web page to continue doing things while waiting for response from the server. So it makes the user experience smoother. So that is asynchronous helps, that you are reading a book, you need some information, but again you are waiting for the dictionary to bring that information, but your reading should not be interrupted. So that is what Ajax is helping.
Guys, any other questions? Please drop it quickly so that we can answer that for you. Yes, we will be sharing the attendance link. Guys, just I wanted to say this. This is just not for attendance or certificate, right? We bring all of these mentors for you guys in order to have more knowledge so that you can decide more things about your career, right? So attendance and certificate, we will take care of it. Mr. Robbins' time is very crucial. So please, take the maximum, utilization of the time and ask your doubts, because people like him are very hard to get and to interact, right? So please pay more focus on the session and topic. For the certification, videos, recordings, you can contact us personally. We are at your service.
So you all can like follow me on LinkedIn to get more interactions. If I do this session, you can have like a follow up, and you can also ask personal questions on topmut.io. I used to do it. I sent that link, Priyanka, in the chat. So here they can interact with me. So earlier I used to do one-to-one integrate, like one-to-one interactions as well directly. But now it is like I'm also very out of time and really busy with the project. So again, if you want, you can connect with me through Elewayte, or you can connect with me through Topnet. So thank you everyone. Thanks Priyanka and Elewayte team.